you doing, angry Brit? Why are you so angry? I don't often come on this kind of time, but I guess it works out well for our UK brethren. Smoking a monster of a cigar. It's a New World La Gloria Cubana Serie N. There's a little N made with cigar leaf there. Hey, Jean. Yeah, I know what you mean about COVID. Although we may sit on different sides of the fence, but not sure if we share the same reasons to be angry, but maybe we do. Bob. So I didn't make any pipes yesterday. I just wasn't in the mood. I was very tired. I actually fell asleep on the couch last night. So this afternoon I decided to get in and actually get my finger out and do some work for a change. By the way, is the sound coming through clearly? But I don't have my new headset with me. I think that it's in the car now. I might have to get a second one for my desk upstairs though. I'm doing all right, thank you very much, Burly Bob. Burly Bob. I'm just working on a stem at the moment. And I've been sort of working on that new sort of rustication that I've been doing. So I've got a new pipe today, which I think looks pretty cool. This little band here is from the Chris Eldritch rod stock, which I took delivery of. Hey, Charlotte, how you doing, man? Haven't seen you for a while. Hope you're well. So that's a bit of Chris Eldritch rod, which I've made a band out of. And that's worked out really well. Very, very happy with that. So we've done this sort of design all the way around the whole pipe. Like a spiral design. It's a design. Hey, what's up? And I also decided to do partly to another pipe which I made a while back, which hadn't sold. So I figured I'll just play around. So I've done a part rustication on that one. Evening, Kev. It's not sandblast. This is a hand carving. It's a new sort of carving / rustication method that I've been trying out. I bought these cigars from Fort Noggins probably about 3 years ago. I had a box of these. They come in boxes of 24. This is my last one from the box, and it sat in my humidor for about 2 or 3 years. And I couldn't quite bring myself to smoke the last one, but because I've left it so long, it means that it's aged beautifully. And it's just a fantastic cigar. I'm going to have to try and find a way of getting some more of these. This one is the Glorioso size, which is 6.5 inch by 58 ring gauge. It's huge, a monster. I've been smoking it all afternoon, and we're still around halfway mark. I haven't checked out parcels to go, no. But I've actually had a lot of messages today from people saying that they've received parcels, so it looks like they're all arriving eventually. Anyway, I just thought I'd get on and say hi while I'm finishing off this pipe. I've just realised I haven't left anywhere on this pipe to stamp it. That was an oversight, so I'm not sure what I'm going to do about that. I've never actually tried stamping a stem so far. We shall see. Don't really like the idea of sanding a little corner out of it, but may have to do that in the end. Thanks, Onion. So all the travels that you've been doing, Johnny, are you moved, or you have moved, or you went to look at a place? I couldn't keep track of what you were doing. Cheers, Kev. Have you smoked the pipe? Good. I've got two messages, English cigar lover. Hi. Um, you lost the sound. Let me turn this off. Hey, Jeff. Buffering a lot at your end. My end seems to be okay. Boca. How you doing, Charlie? So in terms of the humidification on my cigars, let me just put it into flight mode before we get interrupted again. There we go. I have two humidors, one for my Cuban cigars and a smaller Tupperware thing for my non-Cubans. Although I do have some non-Cubans in the main humidor as well. My main humidor is a small Frigidor type thing. It's like an under-counter fridge size. It's a converted a wine fridge cooler type thing. Yeah, I'm sure you've seen the type. So in that one, I've got two of the pots with the crystals. You know, I think it's made by not Bavida, but by Zycar, I think. So you get it's basically a little dish which is full of this jelly stuff which gives off the humidification. I've got two of those in there, and that's absolutely fine, lasts me forever. In actual fact, I use that humidor to re-humidify dried out Bavida packs. And I'm not in any rush, I just chuck them in the bottom. It might take weeks, I don't even know, I don't even take any notice of it. But I've now got in the bottom of my humidor a stack of ready to go Bavida bags. I just leave them in there. I've got a big 5 gallon what's his name water, distilled water, to refill those little pots. And I just use a single Bavida bag in the Tupperware for the non-Cubans, and that's it. But if you've got of any kind of size, like a humidor of any kind of size, I would definitely recommend getting one of those Zycar, one or two of those Zycar pots. And if you're using Tupperware containers, plastic airtight containers, then Bavidas are the way to go. Sponges, I don't use sponges simply because
if your cigars touch the actual sponge, and you might end up with mold and stuff like that. And the sponge absorbs organisms from every time you open the container. So I prefer not to use sponges. No problem, English. Oh, you got yours, Daniel. Fantastic. I'm glad. Are you happy with it? I'm sure you are. You've been sort of threatening to buy a pipe for a long time now, so I'm glad that you did. So, what are you guys smoking at the moment? Charlie, I noticed on somebody else's live you said, or on a comment on a video, you said you hadn't been smoking for I don't know how long. Why is that? Was that a dental thing? Yeah, no problem, Daniel. No sweat, no pressure whatsoever to buy any of my pipes. Don't you worry. It makes absolute sense to buy it from Canada, and you couldn't buy it from a better person than Mike. Okay, so in terms of Bavidas are not going to have any effect on your temperature whatsoever. All it's going to do is your humidity. Okay, so there's two measurements when you have a hygrometer in there, one of the digital or analog hygrometers, the dials inside your humidor. Um, it's either going to be your temperature. If you're in the UK, man, you say English cigar lover, so presumably you're in the UK. You don't need to worry too much about temperature as long as you're indoors. I mean, in a garage like this, you wouldn't want to keep your cigars here. But if it's indoors, 70, that's absolutely fine. I prefer mine a little bit lower, but 70 is fine. It's a standard. Once you get more into it, you might make your own decision about exactly what you want to have. But it's more the humidity that you need to worry about, not so much about the temperature in the UK. And even the humidity, we're quite even over here in the UK. We're not too humid, we're not too dry. We've got a pretty good atmosphere for keeping cigars. Obviously, you don't want to leave them out of any humidification. You certainly do need to have some. Your cigars might last a few days without, but not more than that. It's obviously a matter of degree. You could leave them um, for a week or two. They might be dry. Humidify them for a day or two, and they'll be fine. But you go past a certain stage of no return. When they dry out and the essential oils start to evaporate, then even if you re-humidify your cigars and you make them smokable, you'll never reclaim the original flavors. So a few days here or there won't matter. As much as we're quite finicky about cigars and we make a fuss about the humidification and the temperature, they're actually quite robust, but up to a point. It's as simple as that. You could give them they'll give you a certain amount of leeway, but beyond that, you're risking the quality of your cigar. Mm. Daniel, I agree with you. It is quite similar to a 320. I do agree with you on that. And it is lighter. That's the quality of the briar. And obviously the shank's not as chunky as the 320, but the bowl is quite chunky. Box press versus round. I just smoke Cuban cigars most of the time, so they all tend to be round. They're very rarely box pressed with Cubans, but I occasionally smoke box pressed. If I'm smoking an Oliva or if I'm smoking um, whatever it might be, then I might smoke a box press, but mostly round. I prefer round, I think. Not sure because I haven't. I used to smoke box pressed a lot more when I smoked non-Cubans regularly, but now it's pretty much regularly Cubans most of the time. Magnus, are you talking about Magnum Opus? What's up? If you are talking about Magnum Opus, that is a very nice tobacco. I've actually got a very, very old tin, which is very smooth, but it's quite a rich tobacco. Hey Boris. Magnus von Braun. Oh, you're talking to Magnus. Right, I didn't see him come in. Hi. Living in Blairgowrie. I guess you guys are Irish. The pipe today, I just showed it a couple of minutes ago, so at the risk of boring you, I'll show it again. It's a... I'm still in the middle of making it, but it's pretty much done. Hey Jack, so this is today's pipe. I've done I'm just basically exploring this new rustication. I'm doing this new carving style, and I've done a pattern, like a floral pattern almost, which is all the way around. A couple of beads on the top, with a very smooth, nice, smooth, natural, unstained bowl. And this band is Eldritch Pipes. He casts his own rod, and this is not wood. This is I'll show you. I actually got these. I ordered them a week or two ago, and he custom makes them, Eldritch Pipes. So these are the rods which I bought. So I decided to try one of them, and they're actually very, very soft to work with. They're very easy to work with. I made a pipe, if you remember Daniel, that green swirly stem pipe I made recently. It was with, he sent me a sample of this color, so I ordered more in a sort of a more 18, 20 mil and a 22 mil or 24 mil. This one is really wide. So some interesting colors. This pink one is quite funky. The orange one I like a lot, and this black and white one I haven't used before, haven't seen before. So I said I'd get this, so I bought that one as well. Yeah, I have to think what that pink's going to work with, because otherwise it's a little bit pink. Oh, right, okay, what's up? Got you. I thought you were making a shortened abbreviation of Magnum Opus. I mean, the amount of selection that there is, a variety of Cornell and Deal and GLP's blends, there must be hundreds by now. A dress finish, I have not done a dress finish pipe so far. And I revisited one of my previous pipes that I'd made, and I've done a part rustication on this one. So this I've left smooth and done that sort of weave kind of rustication there on the bottom, around the side and around the other side, and then again smooth around the back here and smooth on the underside of the shank to show off that grain. So that's my work for today. And then this pipe here This one I made a while back. It's a square shank, and I put this band on it. I may well smoke this one myself because this joint here didn't come out as perfect as I would like. So I'm actually not too happy with the stain either. So I may well restain this. But it's a nice pipe. Truth is, I could stain it and even trim it and make it a pot. Maybe make it a pot. It's a little bit too deep at the moment. But it's got a fantastic stem. Really, really nice and comfortable. I'm really tempted to keep it, but I'm going to restain it. I have this problem with nearly all of my pipes, is that I'm always tempted to keep them. Like I've said, my motivation in making pipes is making pipes that I would like myself. And it doesn't mean that they'll appeal to other people. You know, a lot of them have, some of them haven't. So that's why it's always a temptation for me whenever I make a pipe. If it works out, I'm tempted to keep it. Hey, Tim. Gavin, you like a pink swirly stem? All right. I will bear that in mind. What shape would you be after? Maybe I'll crack one out tonight. What's the time now? 8:45. Don't know if I'll do another one tonight. Deep bowl. The granite, yeah. Deep bowl. Military mounds, spigots. No, I've never made any of those. Basically, today's pipe is there's two inspirations here. Obviously, it's continuing my sort of exploration of this rustication slash carving. You know, giving it a pattern like that. But this is two inspirations. One is Tao. There's a Danish pipe maker, Tao, Tao, who makes short, stubby bulldogs. So this isn't quite a bulldog. This is a Rhodesian, but it needs to still be bent. It's a slightly canted forward Rhodesian. I mean, I could leave it like that and have it as a straight one, but it's actually on the block. I designed it as a slightly canted one, forward canting, but I could just leave it as it is, as a straight one. I think people like it when they're a little bit bent, slightly bent. So I might just do that. We shall see. And the other inspiration, which is, you know, a lot of this design kind of idea, although again it's an inspiration, it's not a copy because he did things differently and probably a lot better than this, is Lee Erk. I don't know if I've pronounced it right or not, but an American pipe maker, and he does a lot of carvings as well. So I decided to do it in a pattern and see how it turns out. When I do a video on it later on, when it's finished, you'll be able to see the carving better. The FaceTime camera on these, it's a fixed focus, they're not that great. It's a sharp around there. This cigar wants to go out. I've been servicing this cigar all afternoon. Yeah, I like that Countryman shape. In actual fact, that's probably, let me not say probably, but possibly going to be the next in my 7-pipe series from Ian. The fourth one in the series I should be getting just in time for Christmas. I spoke to him the other day, so that one hopefully will be ready by then. He's also putting a silver band on a pipe for me, for one of my customers. And yesterday, actually, I put a silver band on myself. I sold a pipe recently to somebody in Switzerland. A really beautiful apple with a cylinder shank. And I have no idea why or how. Maybe he's inexperienced piper. I don't know. I won't hold it against him. But essentially, he asked me to send one of the adapters with, so you could smoke it without the filter. So I sent him the adapter, and basically, rather than just slipping it in and let it sit there, friction held, he rammed it in. So obviously, because it was rammed in, forced in, it spread the tenon. And when you put the tenon in the shank, he split the shank because the tenon was obviously much too wide. Anyway, I managed to drill out the adapter. He sent it back to me, and I said I'll do what I can. I managed to drill out the adapter, and the split. I found a ring in one of the rings that I've got in stock, and I managed to fix it. And actually, it looks beautiful. Maybe I'll show it in my video later on when I show today's pipes. I was a little bit nervous that it might reflect badly on my workmanship, but I know it didn't. But I just was hesitant whether to show it or not. But I'm usually quite happy to show flaws and all, but this one was actually completely not my fault. But yeah, I probably will show it. I saw that pipe, yeah, and I actually spoke to the carver after seeing that. Absolutely stunning. The next one he's done is almost identical, but the workmanship is just phenomenal. I asked him if he could do 9mm. He said he could, but he doesn't take orders, so I just gotta keep an eye out and see if he makes one in 9mm. But they're not cheap. They're not cheap. I'm not sure I'm in the market for it now. I'm a little bit out budgeted with pipes. I've got Ian Walker's pipe on the way. I've got another pipe from Burke's Pipes. If you guys remember the little acorn pipe, so I ordered another one on the strength of that. I was so happy with it. So it's taken him about 3 months so far, but I'm not in any rush. I told him do it at your own speed. But he sent me pictures yesterday or the day before of his progress. The main shaping is done now, so I guess he's got to do the sandblasting still and finishing the shaping of the stem. So I don't know when I'm getting that one, but whenever it happens, it happens. I'm not in a rush. And I bought a load of estate pipes in the last 10 days or so, mainly for reselling, for refurbishing and reselling. So until I recoup that money, I'm a little bit budgeted out. I also bought some cigars as well, so I'm a little bit out of budget now. But if he came up with a 9mm one, I'd be sorely tempted to get one of those carved ones. They really are nice. The proportions of the pipe are fantastic, and the carving to do it with wood is not so easy unless he's got a machine that does it. But I imagine it's hand done. But it almost looks like the way the Meerschaum carved pipes look. The patterns are so intricate and so symmetrical. It's just highly skilled stuff. Really highly skilled. The calabash pipe. The thing is with true calabash pipes is that you've got to do a lot of carving inside the bowl to have the draft hole come in at the nadir of the bowl underneath the bowl as opposed to coming in from the side. And that's a skill which I haven't yet attempted, never mind mastered. The short pipe with the silver band, the one I nearly binned. It's actually a gold coloured band. Um, I've been really torn with that pipe. I have actually got somebody who wants to buy it, um, but I've kind of held off and I've said I want to think about it because I can't charge as much as I usually would with a pipe because of that flaw, even though it's not an issue when it comes to the smoking, and it's absolutely robust and secure, especially with that band. It'll never pop as far as I'm concerned. But you have to be honest, and at the end of the day, if you're not honest as a pipe maker, you'll just lose your reputation. So for me to sell it at the price that I would need to sell it at, I'm kind of tempted to keep it. I'm still a passionate pipe smoker. Never mind just making pipes, but I'm still passionate, and I still enjoy acquiring new pipes and smoking new pipes and so on. So I'm a little bit torn. I'll be honest with you. Almost every single pipe that I make is a departure. It's a tearaway for me to sell them, um, because at the end of the day, I started this making a pipe as a hobby, and obviously it's become more than that now. But the idea was to make myself some pipes, and you make them the way that I like them. and make them 9mm, because 9mm are not as plentiful as non 9mm. So that was my original motivation, is just to make it as a hobby, and maybe later on in life to retire, make a few pipes here and there. But it's developed into something much more than that, and I'm really grateful and thankful that it's gone the way it's gone. And I like the idea that they're all 9mm. I mean, you can have the adapters and smoke them non 9mm, but I think it covers a niche in the market. Because I smoke 9mm, every single pipe is a temptation for me. Right, let me catch up. How many pipes do I smoke in a day? Niels Rother. There's no fixed amount, but I have a little bit of a sort of a habitual kind of certain pipes that I have. So my morning drive, that's kind of very rarely will I have a cigar. Occasionally I will, but generally speaking, that morning pipe is really, really important to me. Probably my most important pipe of the day, my most enjoyed pipe of the day. And that's, it kind of just starts me off, it gets me going, it wakes me up. Enjoy it with a coffee while I'm talking to you guys on the morning drive most days. Excuse me. So for me, that's the most really enjoyable. I've not eaten then by that stage. Excuse me. So I'm usually smoking a Latakia blend with coffee, with a milky coffee, and that's just for me probably my best smoke of the day. Some people have completely the opposite, the smoke just before they go to bed. But for me, it's that smoke in the day. Sometimes I'll finish the bowl later on in the day when I'm back in the car, but it's never the same. It's never the same. So most times I won't even bother, and then I'll come home, and if I come into the workshop, more often than not nowadays, for some reason I don't know why, but more often than not I'll light up a cigar, and because I'm working, the cigar will go out. I'll relight it. It'll go out. I can't be holding it while I'm doing certain tasks with pipe making, and it will last me the whole afternoon. This one especially, because it's such a monster cigar. It's a 58 ring gauge by 6.5 inches or 6 inches. I think it's called Gloriosos, the Vitola, and it's a great cigar as well. There's not that many New World cigars that I call great, but this is a very good cigar, and I really, really want to get some more of these. It's a La Gloria Cubana Serie N, N for November, and I'll get them in the Robusta size. I believe they do a 5 by 52, but I've got to find some way of getting some from the States. And then when I'm back upstairs at my desk, and maybe doing a video or watching somebody else's live or catching up on some videos, then I may well light another pipe. So I don't actually smoke that much. I have probably the equivalent of 1 bowl to 1.5 bowls a day, maybe 2, because I fill my pipes very, very lightly, usually the equivalent of half a bowl once I've tamped it down. I may well have 2 or 3 half bowls like that in a day. So maybe just 1.5 bowls, but they last. My pipes usually will last quite easily, an hour and a half, something like that, and so I'm smoking for 3.5 hours maybe, or 3 hours, just those 1.5 bowls. So that works for me. And when you talk about the dangers of smoking and so on, it's not that much. The cigars, I guess, ramps it up a little bit, but I don't smoke a cigar every day. But recently, when I come into the workshop, I tend to bring a cigar out with me for the convenience. Sometimes I will smoke a pipe. I have workshop pipes and workshop tobaccos here running around, but there's little pots and things like this all over the place, the ones which I leave out here. But most days recently, I've noticed in the last few months that I'll just light a cigar, leave it in the ashtray, come back to it throughout the afternoon. He asked Matt to commission something for him, but I'm waiting since the start of the first lockdown. I think he's snowed under. I doubt very much that he's forgotten Gavin, but he is snowed under. I mean, he's working on a series at the moment for some. I don't know if it's for a shop or for. A lot of his pipes have gone to shops recently. I've noticed that, so he's been sort of fulfilling orders for shops, for websites. But I spoke to him just yesterday, and he did say that he's snowed under at the moment. I imagine that now the waiting list for him is about 3 or 4 months. It's usually around 8 weeks is what he usually quotes, but it's I think it's longer than that now. The Magnum pipe you have, the red stain and scar. Well, will you be smoking it or selling it? It is for sale. I haven't smoked it. So if somebody wants to buy it, you've asked me about it before, Daniel. As I say, because it's also, I would say, you could call it a seconds because of the way the rubies are drilled. You know, that was like a testing kind of an experiment. I would do a good deal on that for somebody if they want it. Do your pipes, What's Up asks, do your pipes have a recess up inside the stem so that the filter is fixed and no smoke can bypass the filter? No, and that's intended. Number one, because I use standard tenons, so they are a little bit wider than the filter. But I find that, for instance, the Burks pipes, the Acorn that I got recently, he made that very, very precisely. Phil Rivara, for instance, he's an unbelievable machinist. So when he makes his mortises and tenons for 9mm, they're very, very precise. For me, that's a disadvantage because filters do restrict the flow somewhat. If you make it very precise so that no air or smoke can go around it, then it becomes, in my experience, it becomes very, very restricted. So my ones generally will have a little bit of a gap. It also means that you get more of the flavor of the smoke. It's just the way I do it. Everybody has their own way of doing it. For me, it makes more sense to have a little bit of smoke coming past it, and then the most of it going through the filter. That's what I do. It's La Gloria Cubana. I don't know if you can read it. La Gloria Cubana. Cigars, do they taste bad on relighting? I personally have never really had that problem. A lot of people do say that it's never the same if you relight it. But the way I smoke my cigars, I purge the cigar the whole time. So for every couple of draws, I purge. So maybe 2 or 3 draws, then a purge. 2 or 3 draws, then a purge. A purge means that instead of sucking through the cigar, you blow out. So maybe blow out for 3 or 4 seconds and you see the smoke coming out of the cigar. What that does is it drives out the carbon buildup in the cigar and refreshes it. So if you're going to relight it, tap off as much ash as you can when the cigar is dead. Get rid of as much of the dead ash and then relight, and then purge maybe 2 or 3 times, one after another, so that you're getting rid of that initial tar that you're relighting. I'm not saying it's perfect, but I've never really had a problem with it to my taste. How did I cut my thumb? So my thumb itself is not cut, but it's split. When you work, I've got quite dry skin. You may have noticed that over the period. I suffer from bad dry skin on my hands, and so when I'm working and working, putting pressure on your thumb when you're sanding, when you're on the lathe with the tool, you're sort of under pressure, you're holding things, you're gripping things, so all that force, every so often, especially in the winter, I get cracks in my thumb, and I've got a really bad one at the moment. So this is really just padding to protect it because it was really painful the other day. It's starting to heal over now, but this one is the first time since I've had my bandsaw for almost 2 years, first time I've cut my finger on the bandsaw. Yes, I did. But I grabbed it straight away and put pressure, held it up, went inside, cleaned it, rinsed it, and put a band-aid on it, and then covered it with some breathable tape. So hopefully that's okay. It's stinging a little bit from time to time, but it's okay. I've been working remotely from home the last several days. I don't smoke cigars and but have been dry puffing and chewing his cigars. Good for you, Jeff. I'm very fortunate that obviously in the garage it's not a big issue in my workshop to smoke because it's kind of out of the house. But in my office at home upstairs, I've installed an extractor fan and I've put brushes around the door to prevent the smoke smell coming into the house. And it's about 99% efficient, and my household tolerates it, so I'm very lucky. Hey, Stolen Violin, how you doing? I haven't smoked my Briar Blues pipe yet, no. Oh, have I tried to get my pipes to him? I've spoken to him a few times about it, and the problem is that it's about about it making sense financially because of all the taxes and things that he has to pay. But I might try and get some in under the radar. We'll see. No problem, English cigar lover. I recently come to gain an old Mir and an old Dr. Plum army mount. 40 years old and they're both sour. And a good service places that could clean them. You could do that yourself, Cass. Really no problem. There's a number of ways you could do it, but the most successful way you're going to have a good result, but it just means a little bit of effort, is to buy yourself a bag of kosher salt. Put a pipe cleaner in your stem and in the shank so it doesn't travel up. Not too far anyway. You don't want the salt getting stuck in there. Fill your bowl a third full. Get a little eyedropper and drop some alcohol. Can be anything, but ideally as strong as possible alcohol. But you could use vodka or something like that. Vodka is good because it's kind of a neutral tasting alcohol. And put a few drops in until it comes to the top of that salt. Then put another layer of salt in and do the same again, and then fill it up almost to the top. But you've got to be very, very careful that you don't get the alcohol spilling over onto the rim, because that will strip away any stain that's on the rim of the pipe. Unless you're okay sort of freshing that yourself afterwards, if you've got that experience, then that's fine. But just be careful. Make sure you've got it on a level surface, and that's all there is to it. Leave it. Some people leave it for 3 or 4 hours. Some people leave it overnight. But you'll be able to tell by looking at the color of the salt. That salt will turn brown. It'll turn disgusting. When it turns fully brown, carefully tip it out, and you could repeat it. If it's really horrible tasting, then just repeat the process, and then that will leach out all of the horrible sort of cigar juices, tobacco juices that have appreciated and accumulated over time, and that should really freshen up your thing very well. In terms of the shank, what you can do is like this. Again, it depends what your skill level is. I mean, you could always try just alcohol before you do a salt treatment. You could just try cleaning it thoroughly with alcohol and see how that works. But in terms of cleaning the shank, maybe I should do a video on this one day. In terms of cleaning the shank, what I would probably do nowadays is I would just re-drill it, because I anyway increase the diameter of most of my pipes. They're usually around 3.5 mil, the draft hole, and I increase it usually to 4 or 4.5 mils, depending on the pipe. So when you re-drill it, you're just stripping it out completely to fresh briar, and that's fine. Then you could take a pipe cleaner, dip it in alcohol, clean it through thoroughly just to get rid of any sawdust, and just to refresh the flavor, and you got a new pipe pretty much once you've done the salt treatment and cleaned out the inside of the shank. If you don't want to drill it, then just get yourself a wire brush, the little pipe wire brushes which you can buy, and just dip that in alcohol and thoroughly clean it, and then do so with a pipe cleaner. With a stem, the same thing. The thing with the stem is that it's kind of hidden, so you don't really see what you're doing. And you might take a pipe cleaner, put a bit of alcohol in it, sweep it through a few times, and it comes out clean, and you think, that's great, it's clean. What you're really doing is just cleaning the surface. If it's a well-smoked pipe, you can rest assured that that stem, unless you know it's been looked after, that stem is going to have hardened, almost congealed, rubberized tar on the inside of that. Again, you need a wire brush for that, ideally, to be able to really start to loosen that off, and to clean it thoroughly, and just keep doing it, because it will take some time. Inside the stem is really, for me, the inside the stem is the hardest. It will take some elbow grease, simple as that. But if you want to pay somebody to do it, by all means. In the States, you've got plenty of people who will do it. You could look up Cane Rod Piper, Briarville. Rick, the guy who used to run it, no longer owns it. He's sold the business, but it still operates as a business, Briarville. And there's plenty of other people who will do it. You just do a search on Google. Yeah, I mean, Cass, in terms of the stems, you could soak it. I don't know about bleach, But have a look on YouTube. Seriously, just search it out on YouTube, and you'll get plenty of advice on that. Yeah, the flavor. You see, the thing is, not everybody agrees with this, but I believe that some stems, ebonite stems, um, I believe that they go past a certain stage where they're not rescuable. That's my personal opinion. Over time, especially if they're in sunlight, I managed to drop my cigar. If they're in light, what happens is you get the oxidization, and the oxidization is essentially the this, I don't know which part of the rubber or whatever it is that's in there rises to the surface, and it changes the color of the stem. Now you could buff it, you can sand it, you can use these kind of things, the micro mesh and that kind of stuff, and it will get rid of it. But it's only skin deep. If it's a pipe that's really old and it's kind of past its sell by date, all you're doing is cleaning that top level, but inside it's kind of, to me, it's gone. I had a pipe like that. I'm not saying that that's going to be the case. I think that's really extreme and probably unlikely unless you've got a very old pipe which hasn't been touched for many years and you're trying to bring it back to life. That I think is going to be a tough one. But if it's a pipe which is being smoked regularly, it will still get oxidized, but you can save it. Um, I had a pipe like that. I bought a pipe from Joe Case, one of his old estate pipes. It was an Edwards pipe, and a beautiful pipe. I actually sold it to is it Mike Murphy, I think, and he smokes it and loves it. I did that. I did all the treatments for the stem. I brought it back to a beautiful black, highly polished mirror finish. Within 2 days, it was brown again, and it just came back straight away with a vengeance. To Ian Walker, and he made me a new stem, a beautiful Cumberland stem, and I sold it with that to Mike Murphy, and he smokes it to this day. And I wouldn't say I regret it, but it's one of those which I wouldn't mind getting back. There's a couple of pipes like that, but most of the time I'm generally okay. And nowadays, especially, I can just make myself a pipe if I'm really desperate. Not touched for 40 years. Cass, I don't want to tell you to write it off. It's definitely worth trying. I would hate to see it go to waste if they are salvageable. So I would certainly say it's worth trying. But if that doesn't work, have a look on YouTube and see what other methods people use, what solutions they use. They leave it overnight in certain solutions, and that will leach out anything that's bad in there. But if it's not salvageable, just get yourself another stem. Yeah, Briarville, as you see Boca's comment, Charlie's comment, Briarville Rick. It's not a Rick anymore, but whoever works there now, they do some great work. There's some fantastic pipe restorers out there. There's plenty of them who do nothing else but pipe restorations. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly the experience that I had, Cass. I cleaned it, brought it to a shine. It tasted disgusting. I think it just, I think it, although I never did the soaking overnight shtick with it, so I don't really know if that would have saved it, and that's why I encourage you to try that still before you abandon them. But once you've done that and it still doesn't sort it out, um, then it may be time for a new stem. Yeah, Cass, I sympathise. But the thing is, that's just the surface. What you needed to do really is the inside, is the draft. The surface is just cosmetics. It's skin deep. But what you really needed to do is to resolve what tastes bad. And what tastes bad was probably what was coming from the inside of the stem, not from what was on the outside of the stem, I would imagine. You've got a good memory, Daniel. That pipe I haven't smoked in a long time. You did the inside too, okay. Yeah, well, it may well be time for a new stem then. That's okay, Cass. That's what we're here for. It's no problem at all. Pleasure. That pipe, Daniel, I'm trying to remember what it was. I think it was a billiard. I think I still have it. I will be doing another sale soon. I've got a bunch of LCS pipes which haven't sold. My fault. I just really haven't pushed them well. I haven't marketed them properly. I'm like I say, I'm a hobby pipe maker, which really I should really professionalize myself a little bit more. I think I enjoy making them more than selling them. So I'm much happier being in here rather than sitting on my computer trying to finish off the website or setting up another Instagram page, which I keep saying I'm going to do. Thanks, WhatsApp. All the best. Parcels to go. Thank you. It's already 9:10. I can't believe the time. When I'm out here, I kind of always think it's the afternoon. I usually start in here about 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And before you know it, it's 9 o'clock. I didn't smoke it enough, Daniel, to say whether it smoked a lot better than the other pipes, if I'm completely honest with you. But since that time, since I made that pipe, I've um, included more innovations in how I do my stems and my drills and all that kind of thing. So the pipes that I make now are kind of override that pipe. And there's other things which I do to make the pipe smoke well. The button work, slotting the button, re-drilling the stems to make them wider. Um, See, this one I made today. I don't know. You can just about see the widening of the slot there. So I've done quite a bit of that. And that's, the stems is, I'm learning the whole time when it comes to the stems. This La Gloria Cubana has been around medium, and it's around medium plus, going on to full now. But as I say, I've kind of been going on and off it all afternoon, so I haven't really appreciated the strength so much. But I'm definitely getting a bit of a buzz now. If I was to have smoked this consecutively, I probably would have had a buzz earlier on. Vangelis, hi. I got your message, by the way. Thank you very much. I'm glad I haven't had a chance to respond to the messages. I had quite a few people today confirming receipt of their pipes, which I'm very, very relieved and happy about. There's still a few out there in the ether, people waiting on pipes. I know Mel's been waiting weeks for a pipe. Not for a pipe, for his tamper that he won in that auction, in the Matches 860 auction. Vangelis, which one did you get? Did you get the freehand pipe? 38, 238, was it? Or was it a different one? The faceted one. Right, so the freehand one with the plateau top with the lines down the side, yeah? Yeah, you won't find this cigar here in the UK. It's an American cigar, a New World cigar. It's one of those brands which you can find as Cubans and non-Cubans. So the La Gloria Cubanas here in the UK will not be this. You're not looking for a Cuban one. You're looking for a non-Cuban. This is probably Nicaraguan or something like that. 239 you got, okay. Was that the freehand 239? I forget. Was that the big one with the limited edition stem on it? LCS 161, 55 shape, nightcap. Ooh, nice. All right, Kev, enjoy your walk. It is really nice to see my pipes spreading out over the world. There's quite a few people showing the pipes now, which on Instagram I found a bunch of them today, which people that I haven't sort of put two and two together that they were a customer and also had a particular page. And I found a couple of them today showing the pipes. So I've followed them so that I can see their progress. It's just nice to see the product of your work sort of spreading out, becoming somebody's pipe that they enjoy. It's just a nice thing. It's a nice feeling. Cascadian Piper, greetings from the PNW. What does that mean? Something Northwest? Pacific Northwest. There you go. So this is the final third, and it's starting to get a little bit sharp now. It's losing a bit of its sweetness. It's been a really sweet, chocolatey, bit of coffee, deep, dark flavors. Very, very nice. It's kind of falling apart a bit as well, but I'm trying to remember. It's been so long since I had one of these. If it's a lot smoother, I'm just not sure. I originally never used to think that it was worth aging non-Cubans. I think that the development, the evolution of these cigars is definitely there. It's just not as pronounced with Cuban cigars as it is with Cuban cigars, I think. And I still hold that in terms of construction and reliability, consistency, these are New World cigars just beat Cuban cigars hands down. I just prefer the flavor profile of Cuban cigars. But in terms of the quality, how they're made, how they're rolled, how even the box designs, they make some beautiful, glossy, beautifully painted, designed boxes for their cigars. It's a shame that the Cuban market doesn't catch up. PVD. You'll have to enlighten me on PVD. Something Vader Darth, perhaps? Providence. Okay. Right, well, I'm going to go and finish off this pipe. I've got to get on the lathe and finish off the button. So I think I'm going to call it here. We've been on for an hour without even trying. Thanks very much for joining, as always. Thank you, PVD. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Cascadian. Thank you, English Cigar Lover. Thank you, Kev Vangelis. What's up? Who's gone? Cass. Boca to Boynton. Tim, if you're still there. Glenn, how you doing? Tony, I didn't see you there either. How are you? Niels, thank you very much. Magnus. Gavin, Louisiana, didn't see you either. Thank you for joining. And everybody else, I think that's everybody. Thank you very much for joining. Have a wonderful day. And I will catch you on the very next one. Good night, Lefa. Thank you for joining.